Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sunesha, and this is Swine Radio. And the swine is not here today, so I have to fill in for him. That was the swine, but I'm just a replacement. I don't really know where he is. Yeah, so the reason I'm recording today is I want to talk about the XCOM 2, because XCOM 2 is probably the only thing going on gaming-wise on my channel. Or anyway, I can't play another game right now because everything is about XCOM 2. Yeah, so... Oh man, what should I say? One of the things I've noticed a lot is that a lot of people are very upset about the performance of XCOM 2. I'm not upset about the performance of XCOM 2, and I'm gonna tell you why. The reason is that one of the presets of XCOM 2 are very high settings. For example, you have 8x8 multi-sample values. That means that the game scales your game up 8 times, and when it's running in about 8 times the size of your screen. So that's a very performance hog, and that was one of the ultra settings. And I think not even a guy with one of the most powerful gaming cards can get up to 60 frames per second. And that's another thing I think also people are so obsessed with 60 frames. I think in turn-based strategy games, 60 frames really doesn't feel a benefit at all. Maybe that you can move your mouse a little bit smooth, but it won't change. You are not doing anything real time. You don't have any time sensitivity, so you don't really need the response of 60 frames per second. And when you're actually not following the presets, I have a GTX 960 and with 4 GB of RAM, and if I can play on ultra settings, and do the 30 frames at GPU usage 70%, which means I have 30% overhead in case something very graphic intensive come right into the screen. I'm ready for that, because then I have that overhead so it can render 30 frames locked. And how did I do that? First of all, I did put off all anti-alias, because that's a very expensive technique. And you must remember that XCOM 2 is actually a PC-only game. And how does that work? I think it is so because they don't have to... they can actually make a game with a lot of graphic features, because they don't have to think about the balancing into quite weak systems if you compare to a modern gaming rig today. I think if you use medium settings, it's actually very acceptable graphics, and you will have your 60 frames per second. But you can use anti-alias techniques that FXA is included in the game, and that's what I'm using. And I can do 30 frames per second without all the textures on the highest settings and every effect. I have every effect on ultra but anti-alias, and I can do that 30 frames selection. And one of the things that is a little bit weird, NVIDIA has this ambient occlusion system, and it's actually included in the game, but if you are a little bit nifty, you can actually switch on the hardware on the driver level. That bought me 5 more frames, so now I'm around 60% GPU usage locked 30 frames, so my frame drops are the minimum. And I've noticed when the frame drops are the worst, it's actually when you are loading in the missions. And you must remember that XCOM 2, the maps are not drawn, they are randomly generated by small parts that are put together just before you start your mission. And so this takes a lot of CPU power, and that will give you frame drops. But if you stick with turn off anti-alias and put it to FXA if you want to have some kind of anti-alias, you can get a lot of performance. And also, just accept that not every game is on 30 frames. 30 frames is more than enough for a turn-based game. So you can probably hit 60 frames, but you have to remember this game was made for PC. And I'm very happy that they have the anti-alias 8 that takes tons of power. Because 5 years in the future, we will have powerful GPU that can turn that on and do 60 frames per second and do that. But right now, it's probably just people with a very, very strong rigs that can do that. And the graphic complexity is actually very high if you compare it to many games. It doesn't look like that because the models are not super detailed or realistic, but if you check around a map when you're playing, there is so much stuff going on. There are snow, fires, small sparks flying around, and we also have a physics with destroyable environments, and those are graphic intensive because so just turn on anti-alias and you will have a great boost. You probably can't actually use one of the other games that are recently released on anti-alias 8x8 because most of the games today doesn't even offer you a real anti-alias technique. They often use something else entirely. So I'm happy about it because anti-alias 8x8 looks so beautiful because it renders everything so sharp, and but it's a very graphic intensive task. So just put on anti-alias and I promise your experience will be a lot better, and probably try to lock it at 30 frames per second. This is more than acceptable. Maybe I'm just weird that I don't really care about 60 frames as long as I don't do anything real time. Real-time things like shooting, sneaking and so on. This to have 60 frames because that give you that extra response time that helps you out a lot. But when you are clicking with the mouse and you move your soldiers and then you press a button and shoot that enemy, it's not like you can take 5 minutes if you want to. I can do that in 15 frames. It will look ridiculously choppy, but it will be playable anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I think I have a different outlook on game graphics because I come on consoles. I really like that you can tweak the games, and my game looked beautiful because I have everything up but anti-alias. And anti-alias is a small impact. It makes a difference, but it's a small difference. So if you just use post-processing anti-alias, it's more acceptable actually. So okay, let's talk about a little bit about XCOM 2 in general. And I'm very happy with the game. It really it's challenging in its own way. It's different and it's challenging for me again, even with the earlier XCOM experience. I feel the game is a bit easier on some parts, but other parts are a little bit weird. We have this avatar project and I had to research how to be able to use that in a good way because I didn't understand that. And it works in that way that you have these alien facilities that are called black sites, and these black sites are generating, you can call them the aliens research of the Avatar project. As long as that black site exists on the map, it will generate research, and that will be represented by a bar on your screen on the 2 meter, the Avatar project. So that. But the cool thing is, for example, if you find an alien facility, and indeed it has been around for many weeks, it has generated a lot of research of the Avatar project. But if I hit it, or destroy it, it actually renders all that research that facility has done on the advanced research that it has done. It would go back to zero. So you can either you lose just one war, but you can even lose. You can even push the Avatar project even longer back. And I really liked that mechanic, because when you are fucked in XCOM, you are fucked. When you lose the country, you lost. You never could get it back. Here you have these alien facilities where you can actually put back the aliens' progress in that way. But it will at some point come to a point of no return. And when you are filled up that doom meter, it actually will give you a countdown. But if you hit another alien black site, you can put the aliens progress back again. So it works like that, and I think that's a good function how to do that. If I'm speaking really, it's because I'm monitoring. If I'm monitoring myself in my headphones, and I'm trying to get used to it. And it's really weird because I'm not used to hear myself in this tight, because my voice is directly into my ears. So it really makes me weird out. But I need to practice, and that's why I do this Swine Radio. Yeah, so you can put the alien black site back, the progress back, and that's really cool. Because the only thing is that you have to expand your territory, so you always have a black site near to you, so when the countdown begins you can reset it. So I think it's about expanding more. In my current game I haven't done that very much because I didn't understand how to push back the Avatar progress, Avatar project progress, and I was a little bit disheartened because I didn't know what to do. Yeah, so it was really weird. So, but it worked. Now I know what I'm going to do. It's going to be a lot easier for me to actually win the game, hopefully. Maybe I have done too many mistakes, but it will be interesting to see how I will do it. And it has, general-wise, my XCOM 2 playthrough has been fun. I have 4 viewer soldiers. One of them have died. That was a sad story, bro. But it's enjoyable because those soldiers, that was a really emotional roller coaster when you're killing one of your viewer soldiers, and I really liked that experience. And that's the experience I only get with XCOM. This kind of thing where the NPCs are represented by real people. You can give them personality or value outside their stats. They become persons in your mind, and it's not many games that succeed to doing just that. That's a very cool function. That you really care about the soldiers. There's no other game where I have cared so much about the soldiers I have or the characters I have. XCOM 2 and XCOM really makes that a part of playing an XCOM game. It's fantastic feeling where you soldiers win a mission and your viewer soldiers are doing cool stuff, fun stuff, stupid stuff, and dying. All of this is a part of a greater experience because they are somehow real, and it's not a lot of games that have that function where you actually start caring about your soldiers in a way it's really nice, actually. Oh man, I really don't know what to talk about. I'm currently here in Cyprus. I'm staying here in Cyprus. I would go back to Sweden in April, and at the moment they are doing something with electricity. They are building a hotel here, so they have turned off the whole block. All the electricity is out, so I'm recording this on my laptop on the battery, so this is the only thing I can do today, because I will have no use or power to do anything else, so I'm just trying to fill this out with stupid sentences. So I'm like, it's interesting talking about that filling out stuff. In America, they have a really interesting way to pay writers. They actually pay writers per pages, so that's one of the reasons they are the biggest dedications and prologues or anything just to fill out the books. So they get paid for before the book sells how many pages they have. So they have these introductions about 10-12 pages, and I think it's just milking that money. And I'm feeling like that now because I'm trying to fill a radio show where I am not prepared with senseless words, because I don't want it just to be 15 minutes long. Yeah. Yeah, so XCOM 2, it's really cool about the mods and stuff. We have cool mods. The mods I have installed is SMG pack. It's really higher mobility for a soldier that has equipped SMG, and it's also a little less damage than a normal weapon, but you gain mobility, and I really liked that mod, and that was from Longworth Studio, so that was really good balance in that. I really liked that. It was it's been a good addition to the game. Another mod I added was a mutant centurion that is kind of a mutant on steroids with armor and a lot of health, and he can buff his friends. But the first time I met him in an episode was probably yesterday's episode. I actually took him out in one turn, so we didn't have to experience the nastiness of this enemy, because it would probably be a very nasty enemy. And we had I really liked the new aliens, and I really liked the advent turn, and I really liked that they had made the sectoids more powerful. Sectoids are a really pain in the ass actually right now in the game, and I really liked that because sectoids was the cannon fodder of XCOM, enemy unknown and enemy within. They were the cannon fodder, and I think the standard advent trooper has taken that role as the cannon fodder, and the sectoids are a little bit more dangerous. And the other enemies I bumped into are the Vipers. I call them snake ladies in the game when I'm playing, and they are interesting. I think I have not seen all what they can do, but they can poison you, they can strangle you, and probably something more, but I usually make my priorities to take those guys out as soon as possible. So yeah, it's a lot about that in this blind crew. I try to take out new scary enemies as fast as possible, so I haven't been in a jam where I have found out their very scary abilities. I met an event shield bearer, and I took him out in one turn, and so I have no clue what he's doing. He's doing something with shields, I would guess. Maybe shields himself and gets tons of armor or something. I never found out because I just grenaded him and let all the other soldiers take him out as soon as possible. So I think I still will see a lot of these difficult spikes, because I don't really know the best tactics to handle some of the enemies, because not right now my priority has always been survival. So I just take out every new enemy that looks scary as soon as possible, and enemies that I know more about, I can do tactics. I learned a lot about the game. Also, the flashbangs in the games are very, very powerful and have a very wide effect, so they can really make a difference. You can flashbang a very, very big area. You can probably flashbang every alien in invisible sight, and that's a very cool ability, because that gives the aliens I think it's -20 aim. It was something like that in the old XCOM game, and plus they can't move as fast, and I think the sectoids cannot use their special abilities while they are disoriented, because they are used the brain to do their mind control, reanimating the old friends, and what more does they do? Yeah, mind spinning, where they panic a soldier or something. Yeah, I don't know if it will be interesting to see more. We haven't run into chrysalids. Those one was a scary enemy in the older games. We have run into faceless, and I really like them because they disguise themselves as normal humans, and I really like that because you don't ever know when a civilian is a faceless, and these faceless are scary because they are big and have a lot of health, and their melee seem to be as kind of AoE attack, so they can attack multiple soldiers at the same time. So they are scary enemies also, so yeah. Actually, I have not much to say. XCOM 2 so far has been a great experience. I don't feel like the performance has... I haven't suffered so much about the performance because I accepted 30 frames per second with no expensive anti-alias technique, so I haven't a good anti-alias. I haven't bumped into weird bugs. A bug that has happened 2 times is when I'm trying to promote a soldier down a tree to new abilities. I couldn't click it, it didn't want to activate, but if I go out and go to the soldier screen and take view soldier and customize, I can upgrade it, but it's really weird. After vision I can just not do it. Then we have this weird Overwatch bug. I get this Overwatch bug where I can't Overwatch. It's really weird. I can't Overwatch. If I'm pressing Overwatch and the only thing I can do is hunker down or end the turn. It's really weird. And that's a bug that happens, and it can be a bit game breaking if that happens when we have a very tough enemy. Yeah. So I think this is a good enough short episode for Swine Radio, so until next time, as always, thank you for listening.